Oh, we have a new intro. Interesting. What's going on, folks? You are on the lifeboat. This is Captain Calhoun speaking. Just getting some coffee into my cup. We're gonna try something new today. I've been listening to this guy William White, Mr. William White, and we've been reading from some of his journals. So I figured we could just listen to him a little bit, just a little bit this morning to get our thoughts going. Paula D, good morning. Welcome in. It's good to see you. We're trying this early riser thing again before work. I think we'll do better today. I think so far, I already feel better. I've been up for a while. So this is a series of William White talking about, well, I guess I don't need to steal his thunder, but we're only going to listen to just a little bit. This clip is about 2 minutes long. There's another 2-minute clip, and then there's a little bit at the end that I would like to check out. And we're not going to also listen to the whole clip. We're going to kind of skip through because there's some certain points that he makes that I want to highlight. Will you let me know, Paula, if you can hear this? Could you hear that? He's asking what does it take for long-lasting recovery? When, at what point does recovery become long-lasting, right? I'm pretty sure that audio should be coming through. No, you can't hear. Okay. Let me adjust some things. Can't hear it. I wonder why that is. Give me just a minute. What the heck? You know why? I bet you I know why. We're gonna try to do it with the headphones, and I bet you that'll route the audio properly. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can I get the audio on the clip to work? Okay, let's see how that goes. And then thank you for your patience. Okay. What about now? 5x5 on the clip now. I'm really hoping that's working. Otherwise, we're gonna have to call the audible. I'm not gonna mess with it today. We've gotten this to work before. I wonder why it's not working. Play a sound. No sound, huh? That is so disappointing. So very disappointing, I have to say. That's all right. I'll walk you through it anyways. So he's asking, at what point does recovery become long lasting? Right? At what point can we expect? And he's not using the word cured, right? But he's saying, what does it take to become recovered? And then he references, in the country of the United States, we found with the data through research that 4 to 5 years seems to be a benchmark for stable recovery. At 4 to 5 years, future risk of reoccurrence drops below 15%, is what he's saying. He also points out after that It's a strange number because, that's also the number, the data that we get for a lot of other diseases um, that are very unrelated to addiction. And he references cancer as a disease where, about 5 years, if you can stay, I forget what the word is, right? But if you beat cancer and then it doesn't come back for 5 years, you pretty much drop below this 15% threshold, right? It's a very interesting statistic. And cancer's not the only one. He references a few diseases that have a similar 4 to 5 year expectancy, right? So he says also with opiate addiction, we can expect a little bit more time to be necessary. Um, for a recovering opiate addict at 4 to 5 years, and I forget, since we can't hear, we're not going to listen to it, but they are above that 15% reoccurrence rate. Remission, that's right, Paula. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, for opiate addicts, it takes a little bit longer. He also then goes into talking about how with cancer patients, at that 5 year mark, we will be checking in, or pardon me, not at the 5 year mark, but when cancer goes into remission, we check in with these patients and make sure everything's going well, right? See what we can do to improve life, right? And I believe it's on an annual basis, is what he was saying. With addiction, we have graduation ceremonies. We give out chips, give hugs, and tell people to have a nice life, and we sever, in his words, I quote, sever the service relationship. Now, I think I understand what he means by sever the service relationship. I don't know how much time he's spent in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I'm still trying to wrap my brain around, I guess, what he's trying to say by sever the service relationship. I can tell he's not a fan of whatever he's trying to say, um, but I think that is interesting with other chronic diseases. And again, he says, if we truly believe that addiction is a chronic disease, we really need to start treating it a little bit differently, right? We really probably should be following up with folks. We really should be have a post treatment plan, right? If it's the same as cancer as far as the data suggests, how come we're treating it black and white different, right? If it's a chronic disease, and this is what we do with chronic diseases, we should be checking in annually. There should be a post, like we should be working with families to see what we can do to increase the odds, right? And I really wish I could get this audio to work because he says it so much better than me. But it's very interesting, very, very interesting. This guy is a man of science for sure. And then there was another clip that we were going to listen to. I'll pull it up for myself, I guess. We'll have to figure out what the heck went wrong with that. Hey, Anita. Hey, Jen. Good to see you guys. Just curious, can you hear playing? No sound. What the heck is up with that? I wonder why. We've been able to fix this before. So what he's saying, even though you guys can't hear it, he's saying the research shows that recovery is horribly destabilizing for families. Families that have absorbed every insult that addiction has to offer are at very high risk of disintegrating in the early stages of recovery if we don't build an incredible support system. He says scaffolding for the imagery. Good morning, Bobby Jeans. What do you guys think the divorce rate in the fellowships are for people in the first 36 months of recovery? Probably wildly high. And we do nothing to prepare them, to support them. He references a friend of his that refers to this as the trauma of recovery, which I think is a very interesting use of language. I'm going to get this clip to work the next time we get together, guys. Or not this clip particularly, right? But I will have the ability to do this, and I do have the ability to do this. I don't know why the audio won't work. I spent the morning fiddling with it too. You'd think, yeah, I know you guys can't hear it, unfortunately. I'm trying to read it to you. Unfortunately, I can't get it to work. But he's talking about families. He's talking about how we treat. Before you guys showed up, me and Paula were talking about how if we really believe that addiction is a chronic disease, we need to start treating it like other chronic diseases, right? Instead of giving people chips at their milestones and celebrating, giving them a hug, and telling them to have a nice life, we probably should be checking in annually to see how if things are going into remission, right? If they, treat it like an actual chronic disease. It's very interesting stuff. And then when we start talking about the family, he talks about how recovery is very, very traumatic for families. And I thought that was interesting because we do talk about the family a little bit, but we don't ever really talk about exactly the impact. And I think he touches on a great point. We don't support families. We don't tell them what to expect. We don't follow up with them later, right? And when I say we, I'm talking about the recovery community. And the recovery community is vast, broad, diverse, and we happen to be a part of that. Wherever we land, this guy William White has so many intriguing ideas. He gets my brain going in the right direction in the mornings. I would like to be able to share that with you. The plan today was to do so, but I guess it's not going to work. So back to the drawing board on that. I got a half day today at work, so maybe we can work on the wooble later. Tragically, it's still not. It's still in the same position we left it in, so like to be able to finish that. Maybe we'll do that later today if I'm not completely exhausted. But I got a half day this morning, and I got a few hours tomorrow night. So you should be seeing a ton more of me. I shouldn't be struggling so much to be on here, to be awake and cognitive and energetic and happy. What else is new? What else is new? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I'm pretty sure my boss was testing the waters. And I also got hit on by like a 21-year-old the other day. Same day. Well, two girls one day. And I pretty much did not engage with either of them. Both seemed like poor decisions to me. Um, and I keep thinking about it like me and my morals, But no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. The 21-year-old was very aggressive. But I don't think that's an intelligent decision. And then as far as like the boss goes, I don't for different reasons also I don't think a very good decision. And I thought it was tactful the way she tested the waters. But that made me feel good, made me feel desired, which is really nice. Also at work the other day, was commended once again, and then got to do a bunch of crazy stuff. I got to go up in the catwalk, which is like 8 stories up, and pull like 20-pound lights up with a rope. That was pretty interesting, pretty scary. And what else? There was something else I got to do. Maybe I can't remember. But yeah, things have been going well for me. Work's been good. Work's been good. I haven't been doing nearly enough recovery and lifeboat stuff. So we're gonna jump back in right now. I'm gonna get Calhoun's corner going as well. The craziness of my schedule is behind me. So I'm excited to get back in the mix. Back in the mix, folks. Man, I'm really sad that this clip didn't work. Let's pull up his other stuff and we'll go from there. Take it as a compliment. Exactly, Bobby Jeans. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like there's definitely this part of me that just wants to engage, and then this other part of me just knows it's not smart, Just knows it's not intelligent. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So, over here, I have that same paper we've been reading. Good morning, Levitt. Good to see you. Yes. Up before work. I've been having to work a little early, so we've been trying to get the mornings started properly. Still, right? Still trying to get the lifeboat in before everything else. So I'm just going to read some William White since we can't listen to him. Is recovery an all or none proposition? Or, as with other health conditions, let me move this over here. As with other health conditions, something that can be achieved in degrees? Good question. Tiffany Sayer, hello. Even if the definition of recovery is broadened to address the whole scope of psychoactive drug use and to encompass broader dimensions of global health, we are still left with the question of whether recovery is something that exists as a static state, that's something that doesn't move, that one has or has not achieved, or whether it is something that is best measured in more subtle gradations. So he's just very artfully posing the question, is this like a destination or is this a journey? We know the answer. We know the answer to this question, but we're going to humor Mr. William White and we're going to read through some of his stuff. What's going on? Hello. Welcome in if you're just joining us. You are on the lifeboat, and we're just reading from some William White. I attempted to react to some William White earlier, and the audio wasn't working, so I'm not going to fart around with it anymore. We're just going to read. There is growing evidence that many severe alcohol and drug problems constitute chronic disorders whose full stabilization follows multiple recovery initiation efforts. So that's a very fancy way of saying that many alcohol and drug problems are chronic disorders, and they require multiple attempts at recovery to fully stabilize. And when he says stabilize, he's talking about maintaining recovery. He's talking about that level of recovery that we hit and we're below that 50% remission threshold, right? It may be helpful to extend these concepts to speak of recovery career as the process and stages that mark the resolution of severe persistent alcohol and drug problems. So he's basically he's answering his own question. Maybe we should measure it in degrees, right? Instead of an all or none. In their historical review of how the mental health and addiction fields have viewed recovery, White et al., I don't know, some company, note that the mental health field has organized its services around the goal of partial recovery, but has, until recently, had no concept of full recovery for those experiencing serious mental illness. Had no concept of full recovery for those experiencing serious mental illness. Not addressing the mental illness is keeping these folks from recovery. Imagine that. Well, in contrast, the addictions field has reified, gonna have to look that word up, the concept of full recovery. Let's look up what that word means. That's a strange word. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Rafi. Make something abstract more concrete or real. Okay. In contrast, the addictions field has made real the concept of full recovery. I understand what they're trying to do there. but has had no legitimized concept of partial recovery. Well, I mean, partial recovery is harm reduction, right? If we want to mince words here, as long as I'm doing a little bit better than I did yesterday, that's what matters. That's what, like, that constitutes progress, eh? Advocate use of the term partial recovery to convey two different conditions. One, a reduced frequency, duration, and intensity of alcohol and drug use. And number two, oh, wait, pardon me. Number one is actually three things. This guy's really smart. A reduced frequency, duration, and intensity of alcohol and drug use, and reduction of alcohol and drug related personal and social problems. All right, so we're not using the drugs, and the problems that the drugs create are less. B, which is supposed to be number two, which is actually number five, the achievement of complete and sustained abstinence or stable moderation, but the failure to achieve parallel gains in physical, emotional, ontological, relational, or occupational health. I'm going to read that again to myself because I have no idea what he's trying to say. Stable moderation. I don't really like that word. I feel like concepts like that are dangerous for the general for in general for addicts because we all want to be stable moderators, right? Most of us are not capable of doing so. So using language like that in our position, I think, is dangerous. Just for the record, it's the first time I've seen that language in this paper. But he's definitely been alluding to because he's the paper's from the position that we don't really understand, right? We are learning about these things, right? This is the way it has been handled. This is the way it's becoming, coming to be handled, and these are the things that we've noticed and we're looking at, right? Like it's definitely a paper written from the perspective of a student. That's something else. I'm glad I said that. That's something else I wanted to bring up. I am not a teacher in this field. I am a student. And I encourage all of you out there to become students of this field, right? We do not have the answers for addiction, right? We are getting closer. We're definitely getting better. We're definitely understanding this concept much, much more. But none of us are the master, right? None of us understand for real. Um, Even this guy, Mr. William White, very, very educated and intelligent person who's been dealing with this stuff. He's been working in the special treatment field for a very long time, for many, many years. And he considers himself a student, not a teacher. And I think that that's exactly how the rest of us should be treating it as well. There's still so much to learn. There's so much we don't understand, and the only way we're going to learn it is by getting to it, right? And then sharing it with each other. So Lovett says, I wonder how much of recovery is stalled due to mental illness no longer being managed by drugs or alcohol. 100% great question. And I would be willing to bet it's very, very impactful. I mean, when we have multiple problems stacked on top of each other, one of them being addiction, the other possibly being mental illness, I mean, those friends are going to play not so nice with each other. They're definitely going to build off of each other. And it all needs to be addressed for true recovery to be achieved. When I say recovery achieved, it's not a destination again. I just would like to remind you. The way that he was defining this, William White, was getting below that 15% likelihood of remission. And that is constituted generally, by a time period of 4 to 5 years of clean time. He said with opiate addiction, it often is longer. Partial recovery can constitute a permanent state, a stage preceding full recovery, or a hiatus in alcohol and drug problems, with eventual reversion to a previous or greater level of problem severity. Curious. Also note the existence of an enriched or transcendent state of recovery, a state of amplified health performance and social contribution superior to one's pre-addiction life. This acknowledges that some people achieve a peak level of functioning, not in spite of their addiction and recovery, but from the strength drawn from their survival of addiction and the personal transformations they experience throughout the recovery process. Here, he's citing example cases where partial recovery. So some people will become partially sober. He doesn't explain that further, and that will precede, you know, greater levels of addiction following that. And then he also cites other cases where people will reach this state of enriched or transcendent recovery, a state of amplified health and performance where one is better than they were before addiction. And then he goes on to say that these people are drawing on their experience of addiction and survival, personal transformation to be this person, right? To fuel their life and their passion going forward. And honestly, I think if I had to choose between these two outcomes, I would definitely choose the person who ascends into a state of recovery that's a better version of me that was, that existed before, right? That draws on my struggle and my trauma to create a better version of me. I think that's definitely the out of those two, the one I would pick, right? Pretty easy decision. Paulo D says the spiraling down and out is so slow we don't realize that it's happening. And it's interesting, like when we have mental illness, that is our reality. We don't have anything else to compare it to, so we don't know, right? For all we know, everybody experiences this exactly like we do. So it's especially sneaky, right? It's especially subtle. Many forms of mental illness. Because how would I know that I have it? How can I compare it to someone else's mind, right? It's very, very interesting. It's the madness talking. Interesting. I'm gonna write that down. I like that. Well, I think I'm gonna have to leave it on that note. Got to button some things up before I get out of here. But that is what I have for you today, folks. Thanks for showing up for me, seemingly unprepared. I can't believe we couldn't get that audio to work, guys. I'm gonna figure it out. I promise. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Be good to yourselves. You deserve it. All right. It's Tuesday. Let's make today great. I will be checking in this afternoon. I think I get off work in 6 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. So we might be able to get like we used to, like a 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., somewhere in there. Art show. I'd like to do some crochet later, so stay tuned later on today, and hopefully I'll have the energy and want to do so. I'm sure that the Admiral will be on here before that, right? So keep it ear to the ground. Again, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. All right, I'm gonna go unload some trucks for a little while, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. All right, much love. This has been the Lifeboat with Captain Calhoun. You guys have a great day. All right. Layla Bradley, so good to see you. Proslin B, hello, hello. And we'll be back on our regularly scheduled programming before you know it, all right? We have an out.